Good evening, everybody. I think I should first of all thank Pastor Tunde Baba for such a day like this, and also his assistant pastor, Sister Yuni, and the entire team of Inspired Minds. I'm here to inspire minds. I don't want to talk about sex. I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to push anybody beyond what anybody does not want to do, because the law says many choices. So my purpose here this evening is to see why Adam shifted body, why Sarah had to ask his husband or her husband to take the maid without caring what the maid had in mind. I'm here to talk about Leah, I'm here to talk about Rachel, I'm here to talk about Ruth, where they got wrong, and then in the end, see why Christ came. But in the language of the law. Marriage is an aspect of life, but it is not compulsory. I'm going to be different from Pastor Tunde Baba, and I won't talk in the way that Sister Eunice used. Can I ask if everybody here is a Christian? Do we have Muslims here? Because I'm legally minded. They are part of the society. Do we have Muslims? Do you have anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's the person? How many Muslims? So it means I have to delve into the Islamic law.
I think I understand things about Islam and marriage, legal, sex.
Do you still practice Islam?
Yes.
Can anybody make an attempt of what's marriage? Just describe it anyhow.
Marriage is a legal journey of two individuals,
Okay. Marriage, in a brief definition, by universal definition, is a legal relationship between two persons, one who is the husband and the other who is the wife. It is a union between a man and woman to the exclusion of others. It's a marriage between one who is the husband and the other who is the wife, to the exclusion of others. Until recently, when the same-sex marriage stemmed and imported the man to man and woman to woman. They are part of the society, so I cannot talk without talking about them. It's been accepted some part of the world. Nigeria is battling with it, and we're just asking God, because now when the church we're asking maybe God can intervene and prevent it from being spread to Nigeria, but it's happening some other parts of the world. Marriage is an interpersonal relationship with governmental, social, or religious recognition, usually intimate and sexual, and often created as a contract. This was why I started by saying I'm going to delve into why Adam shifted body to Eve, because they said the woman you gave us. Said it. And it's still happening now. Why people run to court is because one claims rights and the other claims wrong. Or the one claims wrong while the other one is saying, I am the right person. I didn't seduce you, I didn't entice you. All of these words, you see them as English, but seduction is very severe. It's very strong, it's very powerful under the law. Enticement is destructive and very strong if you can establish it before the eyes of the law. But the Bible says, Adam said, the woman enticed me. For something happened. How do we punish that? This is where law is focused. This is where law concerns itself. This is what law wants to consider. What damages have you brought upon the person by defining her? The fact that you're married to somebody does not give you the wherewithal to ask somebody to sex if she's not willing. For instance, yes, Sister Eunice has spoken that, look, you can entice your husband, but if she's enlightened enough and she's the type that feels, look, you are doing it often. Mostly when I want to rest, or maybe perhaps I've been working all day in the house, and then you just come back in. I'm not saying this is what it is all about, but to her, she's trying to see it in the light of socials. But I'm talking Lord now. Somebody can come up, if he's married or both parties are married on the law, and take the other to court. Yes, I've seen it, I've heard it. I've listened to it several times. A woman goes to God and says, look, I'm just fed up with this man. But if they have that opportunity, that is the difference. Now, if you think that you're that person who wants to have your time, and you do not want anybody interrupting or flaunting it, you are best under statutory marriage. Now, when you're under statutory marriage, you can report every offenses that the other party is causing you. Basically, in Nigeria, we have three different types of marriages. We have the statutory, we have the customary, and then we have the Islamic. That was why I asked if there's anybody. We have the statutory, we have the customary, and then the marriage conducted under Islamic law. They are part of the society. All of those things that happened in the Bible, that people got away with, we can group them under custom. Because for instance, I'm always reflecting over Leah. I reflect over Leah a lot. Because this was a woman who I don't know about what any pastor will say, but I think that if she's to have a way and a right, if she puts a gun to the head of Jacob, she's not doing too bad. Which makes every woman to know when to say no. You know, let us look at it. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel. That was his mind. Let's put spirituality. We all know Jacob was cunning. Jacob was a supplanter, and then he himself found himself in the hands of his uncle, who is a super con star. Now, Leah fell a victim of the con star between Laban and Jacob. So what happens to Leah? Leah has been abused. And I'm always telling pastors, we talk about Rachel all the time. Nobody is talking about Leah. Leah was abused. Leah was the lady who spent her life unloved. She spent her life unloved because in her are the nature, are the attributes of a woman who is supposed to be stuck to her man. So she bore the sacrifices. She stood in that marriage with all the pains, with all the damages, with all of those things. I mean, then later on, Rachel was brought in. And the Bible says Rachel is the rightful one. Rachel is the person he loved. But he slept with her. He slept with Leah. To the point of they had children. He slept with Leah. Leah had children. They went on and on. It got to a point that they started presenting their mates. That is under the customary. But if you're under the statutory marriage, you can get away because the law sees it as a social contract. And I want to believe that everybody knows what is social. If you say something is contractual, it means that it's guided by rules, by regulations that you must abide with. The fact that you are the husband and the church is having heavy load of issues on its hands now. That's why you have to know that before you say yes to a man, you need to know who that man is. Like you investing in a partnership that you want to make profit from. The profits of marriage, maybe perhaps if God permits, you have children in it, that's one of the profits. Another profit, like Pastor Tunde had said earlier on, is your vision. There is I don't think, except the person is dead. Everybody's got one form of drive or the other. You've got passions. Like the lady asked, once somebody asked here, how do I strike a balance between my career and love? Do you understand? Now, if you get into statutory marriage, before you go into it, your age will be considered. But the court is having a big problem at hand now because age does not determine maturity. It's a big problem on the hands of in the hands of the court. And I tell you today, as I today that I'm talking, we were trying to file divorce. Divorce in Lagos is knocking 3,000. Lagos alone. Yes, it's knocking 3,000, and we were like, when is the matter going to be heard? We started thinking of like maybe go to Port Harcourt, go to Shagamu, and just to be sure that lives are saved. When you want to end marriage under statutory marriage, what the law considers is expediency. Somebody is going to die, like a surgeon, if we don't stop first thing. A lady is complaining, my husband is a maniac. Or somebody is complaining, my husband cannot fulfill the conjugal rights. And I want it. The woman is complaining, I want it, the man is not doing it, maybe because he's a gay. But she never knew. She never knew before they got into the nuptial, they got connected and the states brought them together. There was a marriage I was sharing with Sister Lee that lasted a night. One night. One night. It was conducted at that Catholic church and Lekki. I don't know the name of the church now, but the lady came, pretty lady, works with Zenith Bank, top notch. But why I said to the exclusion of others is because of the influence of the family. You don't need anybody to dictate to you who to take as your wife and who to take as your husband. Because when you're going through the banks and courts, the courts won't listen to them. Won't listen to them. The girl she went through psychology therapy to get, I saw the judge tilting her glasses, asking her, I hope you're all right. Because what the lady went through was hard. At the night of the wedding, they took off all the way to Dubai. It was at Dubai that she discovered that the guy is gay. Family came from the east, all the way down to Lagos to come and celebrate the wedding with them. And the priest wouldn't know. Nobody says it out. But how do you discover these things? Can you imagine what trauma of bringing your friends together? Of course his friends will know. I'm very sure nobody can tell me that his friends does not know that he's gay. They will know, but they won't tell the girl. So these are the things that the law considers. The law does not see the society as forcing you to do these things. The law only wants to protect you against damage. It's not up to you to decide how do I prevent myself from running into damage. The girl got into it, got to Dubai, well, let's get down to show. The guy was saying rubbish. Says, is this what this marriage is about? And the girl was wondering, we were there at the church earlier. You signed, I signed, people were rejoicing. Why the change in mood? Only for him to slam it on the girl that to have sex with you, I have to go through your anus. I was weighing it down on the girl. And she said to herself, you can't be right. You can't be right. Your father met my father. Your family met my family. They consented. She was taking herself with the conditions that the law requires before they can conduct a marriage. And the guy insisted, look, it's either you do that, I need some brandy, I need this, I need that. Well, it's too late. it is too late because the marriage registry is signed. You have to do that before you take it to the churches for blessings. And now, how do we handle that? That is similar to what Leah experienced. Can anybody tell me that it's not the same thing? That it wasn't Leah's choice. It was not Leah's choice. The family forced Jacob and Leah together. Just like the lady narrated, the family knows his family. My family carried wine to his family. And the father knew that, yes, his son must be married to Mary. Even though they know that they don't know much about John. But the girl suffered. She was almost running mental. She had to let us thank God that her parents had money, so they sent her overseas. She spent 1 year, with which she went and ran a postgraduate course. Then she came back wanting to dissolve the marriage. But I remember very well, this was on Wednesday, the judge said, I hope you'll be able to piece the pieces of your life together again. How old is this girl? She's just 28. It's a terrible experience. Because, I don't know, she has to battle with her imagination and try to stop herself from thinking or imagining that every man is gay. Do you understand me now? So it's always good for you to take your time before you say yes. Take your time, know the person very well. And if there are things that you don't understand about the person, say it before you get into it. Because if you go under the statutory marriage, the only thing that can separate you is divorce. Divorce is messy, divorce is bad, divorce does not return you to your real self. It takes years for you to get out of it. Now, the customary marriage on the other side does not require much stringent things as with the statutory marriage. You don't need the court. But experience has taught me that they really separate on that customary law. They don't. The worst that can happen is for the man to be doing his stubbornness, have his ill manners, while the family keeps you and say you are our own. They tell you you belong to the family, not the man alone. But the only part that Nigerians don't love about customary marriage is because the man can take as many wives as he wants. The man can take as many wives as he wants. If he dies, it takes 20 because he's not taking them before the court and is not portraying himself as an English person. Because when you go under the statutory marriage, which they call the registry, because we got married, we're taking ourselves to the registry, you don't understand. Nigerians don't know it. I'm sorry to have to say it. Nigerians don't understand the statutory marriage is not us. This was why the state now said, unless they are joined at the registry, the church cannot join any man and woman. Any church found without that condition, or any church found now joining man and woman together as husband and wife, without the certificate of marriage having been obtained at the registry, the church will be sealed up. Yes. You can do it. Because a lot of the issues at the hand of the court they usually stem from the church. Then in January I'm going to, I was born. No. You are not you are with unsound mind. That's a man. You are not a person that is stable. If you're not stable, what are you going to do with another person? So they probably stop me, put them on probation to try and see until the man or the woman gets it right. Do you understand? Sorry? No, it doesn't have, nobody can determine. This is what I'm saying, that under the law, if you're below 18, you're a minor. It's not expected. You're not saying, what are you going to do in marriage? When people who are 35 and 38 and 40 are getting it wrong.
It's not by age now.
It's not, no, get me right, it's not by age, it's by maturity.
Yeah.
There are people who are 22 who would answer brilliantly. But don't forget that brilliance is about academics, not of the spirit.
Not like experiences.
So these are the issues before the court. Who do we call the matured? The man, the judges are perplexed because even them have issues at hand. They have issues in their marriages. They have. How do you determine maturity? This is abstract. It's abstract. A brilliant lady of 18 can answer this question very well, right? Like passing an exam. She may have signed herself and get herself prepared. I just want to be married. But you see, whether we want to accept it or not, this is where I'm going. If you don't love marriage, don't go into it. It's not compulsory. It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. Like the judge, it was justice. Like the judge asked the lady, do you think you can remarry with all of these things that you have recorded? The guy will lock her up in the wardrobe. That's somebody's child. Locked her in the wardrobe. Sometimes she would throw her from the stairs. We're living at Lekki here, a rock stair. And then he pushes her from the rock stairs. And then the lady says sometimes he dragged her. You know, what was her frustration? What was the man's frustration? The frustration is that what he enjoys most doing, he's been deprived of it. He enjoys it with man. So how do we solve that? When I ask pastors, we're talking this marriage thing, but why does the church make it mandatory? It's not mandatory, and that's why even God said that He will find. If you have to find something, it means it is not general. It means it is not easily obtained. It means that, look, some may get it and some may not get it. So what we need to first psych ourselves doing is, do I want to go into partnership? Take marriage out of it. Do I want partnership of me surrendering myself to a man having sex with me, which will be right, which will not affect or cause any trouble, and then am I ready to tolerate the man even when I hear that he has other women outside? Because if you cannot tolerate it, you're bringing the man to court on adultery. The statutory marriage will not let you go. If a woman or a man comes to court to report you to the state, because that's what they do when they take matters to court. You're reporting to the state. You're not reporting to your family. You are reporting to the state that joined both of you together. And why do they take people to? Why do we choose the statutory marriage? It is insecurity that makes people do it. When we know that insecurity is there, why are we deceiving ourselves? This is where I always ask the court, let us face reality and let us know that this insecurity is there. But church, handle it. The church is not handling it. Handle the insecurity. The insecurity is the reason why. And this is the thing. Man suffers no, when I say man, that's generic, I mean both man and woman. There is a little amount of insecurity in us that nobody can feel unless we fight it ourselves. I have a friend, I'm always using her, he's a classical case, but there's nothing you can tell her about her husband. She'll just stand and be looking at you. I'm telling you, every one of us sees the man. What did that musician call that? There's one musician who sang, I think it's Banky. But Faji, I don't know the tune now, but that Banky guy, the guy that had Mustard. Tell my friend that I just walked out of an event now and I saw your husband with another, so just smile and walk away. So one day I asked, I said, look, don't you ever feel bad? He said, so will bad protect my children? If I feel bad, will that keep my marriage? If I feel bad, will that, but the husband today, look to your right when you see my friend at any occasion, you're seeing the man. Because she saw it as a partnership that she doesn't want to collapse. What are the ingredients of partnership? It involves two or more than two persons. Two is the minimum. Now, my friend will tell you that the partnership won't end. She doesn't say it. She will not tell you marriage. She will say the partnership will soon crash. That's what she will tell you. Because if you keep saying marriage, you'll be tempted. And look, we did this thing. We were before the registry at Ikoyi. I'm going to report to you there. I'm going to say this right. I have this right, and I want to extend it. But my friend would say, wave the right. Because this partnership, I want to win. And that was the style of Leah. That was her style. She didn't kill Rachel. She did not kill Rachel. Rachel, by her own mouth, killed herself. Until things fell into pleasant places. I don't like divorce. But if you come to me, in my professional capacity, and tell me that, I think we need to wake up. What is left in you if I take you to your estate? When I say estate, I'm not talking of buildings alone. I'm talking of your entirety. And why? Because, under Islam, when a woman has been violated, everybody knows that she's been sleeping with you. Everybody knows that being a wife means you're sleeping with her. Nobody wants to take her. So share, because you have destroyed her, you have permanently destroyed her. So give her 2/3 of what you own. That's the key of men in that angle. They don't usually, that's why you see them pampering their women. From the day you have the first child, there's something you must give the woman. You see, under Islamic law, a woman has one, and then you set up this for her. She has two, you set up more, because she needs more material wealth to keep those children. Then she has three, you must do. But she won't put amount when you're taking the second one, because it's not a business. It is not a business. If you remember very well, Rachel said to Leah, give me of your son's mandate. She said that. Because children from Leah were making more than her. Which she rejected, she didn't give her. Because the bitterness of you depriving me, I'm rightfully the person this man slept with. And then you came and they said love. What is this love? What is this? What the law calls love are duties. Duties Leah gave to Jacob. But the physical attraction Jacob had on Rachel supersedes, got her to be lessened. So when at the point of being lessened, she developed some ill feeling towards her sister, which is normal. Somehow, God played hands again. The children of Leah were blossoming because Rachel was stuck on romance. The court will call it romance. So you have to decide if you want romance, don't go into statutory marriage. I'm begging you. Because you can't have it all. You can't have it all. There are some women I've interviewed